What's up? Welcome back to another shed night. Back at it again. We are sticking with the whole little mini bike thing at the moment. We got a big trip coming up soon, so we're going to dive right into this little fellow right here. If you go back to the last video, you'll see this bike. This is one I bought really cheap. Paid 800 bucks for it. Cost me about 100 bucks to get up and running, which for a little TTR50, it's a 2014, so it's pretty good going for one of those things. I've put bigger handlebars on the other bike, which we touched on. I can't put the same size bars on this one because it's got a twin throttle cable. It's a little bit more tricky. So what I'm going to do is I've got another set of handlebars. I'm onto my third set of handlebars here. This is getting a little out of control. They were cheap. There's still a chrome moly handlebar and whatnot. This set is actually second hand, so they're actually the right size. I think will work on this bike. These bikes are probably a little bit small for my kids, but they're not at the skill level or the physical size really to handle a 90 or a 110 of any brand really. They're a little bit more power than what they need, and physically the bikes are probably a bit big for them. So I'm sticking with the 50s for probably another year, I think, and then we'll step them up from there. So I just want to get the bigger handlebars on them so they're a bit more rideable for them, and then in a year or so's time the skill level increases, we can move on to the next bike size. Swing around, I've been over to Metamorphic Laser. God, I love that place. They make you just about anything you dream of. And got some bits cut. So I'm going to step into this and show you what I've got going on. This is Metamorphic Laser. These guys handle all our laser cutting needs whenever I require something. Check out this machine. It's a bad old bit of kit. Cuts pretty much just about anything you can think of or dream of. Just take it down there and they turn it into a reality. Just like this little project. These are the stock Yamaha TTR50 handlebars. They're very basic. This little sheet metal folded section with the bolts that go through the top of the triple clamp. And then this little bit here houses the choke and the on-off switch. Or you got an on-off and then you start on the handlebars. That side, that side, that side. And there's an isolator that goes on there. Anyway, so that's the standard handlebar. Like I say, they're a little bit small. They're actually getting into their knees a bit. The bikes aren't too badly sized for them, but the bars when they turn and stuff, the bar's just a little bit small and cumbersome. So this is what we're going to switch up to. This one right here, I actually got second hand. This one, as compared to the other one that I've got on the other bike, is a bit narrower in the top. Same rise, but a narrower handlebar, which means the throttle will be in closer, which I don't think is a big deal. It still have the height increase, which I'm looking for. But what we're going to gain is the ability to maintain the throttle. This bike here has one of these fancy twin throttle cables, which you see on like later model bikes or bigger bikes. Whereas the other bike just has a single cable coming out and had lots of slack in it. You can see this one, I don't have much to work with. So I'm hoping we can come up. There's a 2-inch difference in height between these two handlebars. So hopefully that'll move up just enough. It's a pretty decent increase in bar. So what we're going to do is to make this work, I had these laser cut. So, Metamorphic. I just dropped the handlebars off. I said I need these brackets. They made them. So I've got them here. These are relief cuts that are done with the laser, so I can bend them easily and I'll just weld them back. Same goes on this one. So we'll bend these up and hopefully we can make a set of handlebars work. First up, I'm going to strip this down, and I've got the new kill switch to go on here, which I didn't have in the last video. So let's get that far. My starting point for this is these nuts, much like the ones in bolts, sorry. Much like the bolts in this one are welded in, so I'm just going to start with that and get these in, and we'll start bending the whole thing up. Now that is mighty hot, I'm just going to put it on the concrete because concrete acts as a fantastic heat sink. So let's throw that down the concrete over here. Let that cool down a scoosh because she's darn hot. Next is this little fellow here. That'll bend these out and then down, and that'll put this in the ballpark. We'll work that out. It's going to measure the brackets on this one, and we'll match the same. I bent the little, gave it some wings basically. So that's the bits that go down the handlebars, and because we've got these relief cuts in it, it is very easy to bend. It's only attached on the outer sections. So we'll weld them later. But it means I don't need anything crazy to set this up with, I can just bend it by hand and it's perfect. Like I say, we'll TIG back those joins at a later date. We'll be on the money, people. A bit more on that one. Where are we here? Cool. That is the same as that, essentially. Oop, wrong way around. Goes that way. Alright, that's that piece made. I'm still gonna let that other bit cool down. Clean the handle. Oh, I cleaned the handlebars already. Oh, I'm ahead of myself here. Alright, we'll have to get that other piece to hurry up and cool down. Just utilise the vise and my trusty shifter. Just slides over these and I can bend them in and out, purely because of that relief cut the laser put in there on each side. So I'm really only bending 2 small tabs of metal. Like I say, we'll come back and we'll stainless steel, not stainless steel. What are we doing? TIGging. Well, we normally TIG stainless, so there's my confusion. So all I do is get the bars set in here now. I'm just going to get a pen line and draw and cut off the excess material. Same on both sides, and we'll go over the bike and I'll tack her all up. This is where I'm at, and it's been a bit of a journey. It's been about an hour. I've got this piece made up. I was ready to go. I was ready to throw the handlebars on. I don't even know where I put them now. Here. And then they were light like chromoly. They're meant to be chromoly. But then I discovered on the underside of this cross bar, it's got these little indentations in it, and it is like mega thin. And then I got the verniers out and I measured this to this, and the wall thickness of this is nothing. Like a clothesline, a coat hanger, the thing in your cupboard you hang stuff from. The coat rod, anyway, there's a word there. It would be thicker than what these handlebars are. So they are essentially not going to be any good. They would be dangerous and I'm not happy with it. So I do have these rather expensive chromoly handlebars. They're about 120 bucks. And I've cut them down. There was a section in the middle here which is rolled off somewhere now. The knurled bit, which is the same bars I've used on the other bike. And they are 4130 chromoly. They're a good quality bar. So I'm going to use them for the bends. I've made a joiner to go in the center here, which is what we have to use later on, which we'll cover that in a second. And I'm just joining the two together. I'm going to weld this. This will go back on here, and I don't think you'll actually ever know. And we'll actually have proper chromoly handlebars. I'll put a new bar on the top there. So I think I'm on the right track now. I kind of fell off the wagon there for a moment, but I think we're back. And I think we're going to be able to recover this and put some handlebars on this darn bike. So we'll keep moving. This is what I've ended up with. It's the same handlebars, just narrower. Piece of solid rod in here. The piece I've used in the underside of this is hydraulic tube. So it's quite high tensile and it's going to hold it all together nicely. So I guess I'll weld all this up. And it's still a bit wide up here, which is the problem I have with these bars. They were fine, like I said, on the other bike, but the throttle on this thing is just in a really annoying spot. Nonetheless, I feel a lot safer with this than I do those other bars. I think I was misled on what they are actually made out of, whereas I know these are 4130 chromoly handlebars. So that brings me a lot more peace. So yeah, I'm gonna weld this up. This really did go off the path a little bit. We ended up making a set of handlebars. Nonetheless, I made some handlebars. All welded up, all TIGged of course. I'm going to let that cool very slowly now. Because, well, it's Gomez time. It's kind of one of the highlights of my night. My burrito. Let this cool down correctly so that we don't have any cracking or fatigue issues. And then let's just get back on to putting these handlebars on the bike, because this is really going sideways. The next step, now that this is all nice and cool and I can touch it again, is I actually have to cut these down. These are 22mm bars, and these little bikes run a very narrow bar. It's quite thin, which is what this... Ow, I just cleaned that up. That's very hot. Which is what this is here. This is actually hydraulic tubing. It's rated like 3,000 or more PSI and nice thick wool in it. But it's got this coating on it, so I've just cleaned the coating off with the grinder, which was very, very hot. It actually slips inside of it. Go in there, little fella. So all I got to do is cut the bars back and weld some of these in the end. We'll actually recess a fair bit of this bar inside this bar, and that's going to give back some strength, take it all back together, and we're pretty close to actually seeing if these bars are even going to fit. It's my little bar ends made up. You can see the step in it. So this just goes inside. This is 19mm, this is 22mm. Whatever the wall thickness is, it seems to work. I just ground it down just ever so slightly so it goes 20mm in. So that's that. I'm going to TIG weld around this one, TIG round around this one, and then we're going to plug it on the underside as well, just to be totally sure. This is a double pass with a cap, and then these are tigged, solid bar. This bar goes all the way inside here as well. So we're super solid. Now, because we're putting bigger bars on this and everything's stretching, well, this cable here will no longer reach. That is your start button. These, because I've modified these bars, will work now, thankfully. Brake cable runs around the front. It looks like it's going to be totally fine. The other one actually ran the brake cable through here because it was a bit short. We had lots of length on the throttle cables, go figure. This one here, all I have to do is pull it out of here and run it back up this side, and it's got heaps of room. I did that on the last one, we'll do the same on this one. Alright, this is the moment of truth, because, well, this bike's been fighting me. The other one fought a little bit, but not like this one. This one really does not want to be modified. So I pulled that wire back around the outside. I should be able to stick the handlebar in through the throttle, like so. See if this is actually even going to work, which it doesn't look like it's going to. I think I'm dead in the water on this one. Yeah, I've got too much tension in the throttle cable here. So we go forward just a little bit like that. Golly, it's pretty tight in the throttle cable, I don't know. Don't know what I think about that. But, it will go on. Why is the throttle all the way up the top? Why is the throttle all the way up the top? Like they've made it very difficult to do what I'm doing, essentially, is my problem here. Look, it'll kind of work. It's just not. The other bike was so much better because the throttle cable was so much longer. So much tension in this throttle cable. Can I get some more out of it? Not really. Oh, well, there's a scoosh. Alright. Far out. I think it'll just work. I think I can just get enough out of her. Right there. You know what? I think we're just going to go with it. We'll go for it or run with it. Front brakes? Yeah, front brakes will work. That's cool. Yeah, right. We've come this far. We might as well weld it on and see what I think of it, eh? Turn tacked up, off the bike again. So that gives me all my factory goodies on there. Not bad, eh? Not bad. It's been a mission, this one. Didn't realise I was going to be cutting bars down and redoing all that. But anyway, we're going to make it work with this weird twin throttle arrangement. So, weld this sucker out. Gotta let the post flow run. Beautiful. Well, I actually thought I was in a bit of trouble with this one, with this twin throttle arrangement, and this is actually coming around quite nicely. So I'm just going to sit here and weld this out. I'm going to fit it back up one more time just for funsies and a bit of a morale? Golly, a bit tired. Morale boost is the words I was looking for there. But it's got to be go out for powder coating, so that's going to be as far as I go this night. So let's get it welded out first. And there you have the finished product. Well, kind of. I still have it powder coated. And I'm still going to put the stop switch on. But, you know, that's okay. We got time. Nonetheless, the handlebars are finished. I even finished it off with a little Pro Taper bar pad thingy. I'm really not good with words tonight. Sorry, I've done a couple of midnighters here at the shop and it's starting to show. Nonetheless, bars are on there. Everything fits really nicely. I'm very, very happy with that. So they're a 7-inch rise bar, which is actually the same size as a set of Pro Tapers, as in the legitimate ones, but the ones for this bike it's different. Just trust me, look it up. You'll find them. They're out there. Everything's nice and neat and factory. Choke is in the choke location. Key switch still works nicely. All factory mountings, so that's all nice and neat. Throttle's nice and snappy. Brakes work, everything's there and good. Like I say, this wire here is the one that used to run up through the front here. So all I've done is routed him back around the back here and I'll just cable tie him off to the side there. Same goes for the stop switch when it goes back on. It'll just be back up in there, or kill switch or whatever you want to call it. It'll go back up on there and it'll do its thing. So that kind of completes it. That's this little bike ready to rock and roll. All serviced and ready to ride. If you watched the last video, come back over here real fast. Check out the caddy. Damn, she a big girl. It's a big caddy. And this bike here is very much the same. you probably think you're seeing double, but it's actually a totally different bike. This one, because of this single throttle cable here, it's got so much movement in everything. It's crazy. So it has got the bars at their full width, which you really only notice in the fact the Pro Taper thing, you know, sits a bit differently. I've only knocked 50mm out, which is just that knurled section in the middle. It's the same. It's got all the factory fit up of all the bits and pieces, key switch. I even drilled, there's a little hole in the back here that locates this thing. It's all very factory looking. So this one's done, that one's done. I'll rip them apart in a couple of days' time, get them out for powder coat. And of course, my pit bike, my 20-year-old pit bike that still goes strong, is looking sharp as a tack. So, I don't know if you got anything out of that. It's just something I want to do to keep the boys in these bikes for a little bit longer. Just put the slightly taller and wider bar on there so they can ride the bikes a lot easier. And I think it's going to work. I think we'll get another year or so out of these bikes, and then they'll certainly be ready to jump on probably on the Yamaha, whether it be a TTR50 or a 110 or a CRF, or I don't know. Whatever comes up, really, will be on the second-hand bike, so we'll wait and see what comes up on old Marketplace there. But that's the bikes for now. In a couple of weeks, we're going out for a ride at a motocross park, so we're getting warmed up on a couple of tracks, so that'll be good times. I'll probably film some of that too. Nonetheless, thank you very much for watching. It's really late. It's nearly midnight. Again, keeps on happening to me. Did a big Land Cruiser job last night. Big 4-inch on a 79 series Land Cruiser. So that was a rad job. But anyway, thank you very much for watching this little thing. Bit of fun. See you guys in the next video. I'm going home, going to bed. Cheers.